Hey guys, welcome back to the Second Time Lucky Mining channel. In today's quick video, we are going to have a look at a new PMD or a power measurement device that I'm going to use to measure my power consumption for my GPUs. If you like the GPU content, please like the video and maybe even consider subscribing to the channel. But enough of shilling my channel, let's jump into the content. Now, measuring power consumption in GPU mining is very important. Now, you probably have lots of different devices to measure power consumption, and if you've watched this channel, I've probably highlighted some of the ones that you already use. You might be using something like this that you can plug your rig in straight into and you'll see the watts there, or you have a metered PDU, or potentially you've got one of these. So this is the Elmore Labs device, and you probably would have seen me testing some GPUs in the past, specifically with the Elmore Labs, which is actually quite nice. It's got an input, it's got 3 PCIe connectors and then 3 out, but there's a lot of cables that comes together with the box, and that's specifically where the new device that I bought today hopefully would make it a little bit simpler. Now, what the hell did I buy? I bought something like this. It is a Thermal Grizzly product. It's Wireview. Now, I saw it on a Referal video, so if you're not familiar, Thermal Grizzly and Referal is sort of the same thing. He sort of owns that company, but I saw it in one of his videos at the time when he was looking at the power consumption and overclocking of a 7900 XTX. Specifically at that time it was only a prototype, but I knew I wanted a device similar like that. So this is just another new toy. Like I mentioned, you probably have a lot of other devices to measure power consumption, which is perfectly fine. This is just something new that is small that I'm going to test out and show you guys at least what it looks like. Okay, so let's unbox it and have a look and see what's inside. So I'm just going to open it up. A small little box like this, and as you can see, compared with my Elmore Labs device, it is a lot smaller, and that's the big reason why I really wanted this device, because it's really a small device specifically for me to measure my power consumption of my GPUs. So I'm just going to slip it open. This is it. This is sort of what it looks like. A little device like that. So there's an LCD screen right there, and then there is the connectors specifically at the back. Now, what you probably would have seen is I actually bought 2 of these devices. Both of them are 8-pin, so you get them in a different pin outs. Now, specifically in this one, I went with 2 8-pin connectors. You get them in 1 8-pin connector, 2 8-pin connectors, 3 8-pin connectors, and even the 12-pin connector. Now, on top of that, and that's the big reason why I bought more than one, is the actual GPU clips is different. So if you have a look, and it's difficult to see on camera, but where the clips are at the back. So you probably would have noticed that GPUs and your GPUs that you've got in your mining rig, where the actual clip connector is that makes sure that it's securely connected. On some type of GPUs, it actually differs towards the back or the front, and depending on where the heatsink is. And that's really the difference between these devices here, is exactly where the clip connector is. Now, the idea is that I will slot it in specifically on my GPU and power it from the other side. So that's really what I'm going to go ahead and hopefully test here at the back. I've got one of my Octominers here, so I'm just going to stick it on one of my GPUs and actually see what the power consumption is while mining. Okay, so here we go. I've opened up one of my Octominers, specifically my AMD Octominer. I've got a lot of different GPUs in here, but I guess what you guys are interested in, as you can see here, I've hooked up the Wireview specifically to one of my 6800 XT, specifically the Red Devils. Why the Red Devil? Well, I do love the Red Devil. And as you can have a look here, and let me just zoom a little bit closer, you can see that the device is actually measuring the power. Now, currently it's saying about 90 watts or within the 90 watts. Now, what's also nice is there's an option here. I can just toggle some of the options, and I can show you guys a little bit clearer. It will show you the volts. If I hit it again, it shows you the minimum and the maximum, and then it will show you the average here. So it's a small little device like that. I just had to connect the power cables on the other side and then hooked up this device right inside of the GPU. Now, this is where you potentially can see sort of how it differs depending on the device, what the orientation is and where the how the connectors are orientated, and that's why I bought two. So it depends, this specific GPU, the connector sits at the back, but there might be some of these other GPUs where it's slightly different. But that's really how easy it is for this device to measure. Now, specifically, what am I mining, and sort of what is this, what's related? Currently, this GPU is dual mining. It's mining Ergo and Ironfish at the moment. So don't ask me why Ironfish, but yeah, that's specifically what this GPU is doing. So there you go, guys. This PMD device, or this Wireview device, actually worked well. As you guys saw, it just plugged into my GPU and I could actually see the exact wattage that it pulled as I am mining the coin. Now, again, you don't necessarily need this device. If you've got one of these, or a metered PDU, or potentially a Elmore Labs PMD, or just HiveOS, there's various different ways that you can do to measure the power consumption of your GPU. So you don't have to go out and buy a specific device like this. Again, I'm not sponsored or anything like that. I bought this with my own money. And in terms of money and how much I paid for this, I paid 50 Australian dollars specifically for this one. So I'm not exactly sure what it would be in your region, but in US dollars, I would imagine anything from $30 to $35 in terms of exchange rate. So it's really not super expensive. Again, the only drawback specifically with this is you need to make sure that you get the connectors at the back correctly. And again, 8-pin, 2 8-pins, 3 8-pins, and the new NVIDIA 12-pin connector. So they come in different models and sizes and stuff like that. So again, I went with the 8-pin because I just wanted to test this device. And again, most of my GPUs are 2 8-pin connectors. So that's really how easy it is to set up this device and use it. In terms of, am I going to use it? Absolutely, I'm going to use it. It's a bit of a pain for me to hook up all the different cables and stuff with the Elmore Labs PMD. For most of the GPUs, at least if it's 2 8-pin connectors, I'm just going to slot this in and actually measure the power consumption. So that's what I'm going to do for the next GPUs that I go ahead and buy. But that's it for this video, guys. If you've liked the video, please like the video and maybe even consider subscribing to the channel. If you didn't, please specify in the comments what you would like me to change. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.